So what do you think large banks are doing? Institutional investors are doing? Hedge funds are doing? When I say what are they doing, they're looking at metrics. They're looking at things that matter. They want to see utility. So whatever field it is or industry and crypto that you're looking at in that industry, figure out what that metric is. Now, down the road, when things change over time and these businesses evolve, of course, there'll be many metrics, particularly revenue. And then revenue, looking at revenue per customer, all these different ways to look at it. And then are they profitable or not? But we're still in the early stages. So try to find at least one metric. So let's talk about DeFi lending first. If you would, I've got a link down below. You'll see a QR code here for my crypto school. $50 a month or $470 a year if you want to prepay. I've got discussions every day, all sorts of crypto, but I have courses. I've made many of them and I'm adding them all the time. For example, just did 6 episodes on futures and leverage. Walks you through step by step. You can see here I've got beginners, I've got intermediate, I've got advanced, and you can learn everything you want to know about crypto. For example, not only do we have, let's say, futures and leverage or how to get things into an IRA, how to bridge your crypto, but here's one, crypto strategies, one of my favorite. I'm adding them all the time. Is it hard to get a 10x return? Of course. Can you get a 2x? Maybe. A 5x? Maybe. Get a 2x, sell it, move it, get a 5x. What have you got? 5 times 2, you got a 10. Strategies like that. Or 4x your crypto, what do? Sell 25% of it. Why? Because now you got all your capital back and you're playing with house money, so to speak. You can do all sorts of things. I've got multiple strategies. I've got new ones coming out. How I got a free car. Futures, how to make 1% a day. That's not much. With 10x, it's 10%. You put up $1,000 a day and you make 10%, it's $100 a day. 30 days in a month, that's $3,000. Would you like an extra $3,000? Strategies like that, all sorts of them. Okay, let's get back to the video. If we're looking at decentralized finance and we're looking at lending protocols, as you know, if you watch me, DeFi is one of my favorite categories by far because of everything that it's already doing. It's made great strides, a lot of progress. This is DeFi Llama. You can look at the total amount borrowed. $51 billion in crypto. For those of you that have friends or family or whatever, and they say, well, crypto's a fad or it's not a thing. Are you kidding me? It's in its infancy. And already $51 billion at this point in time has been lent out. That is insane, in my opinion. Back in 2022, it looked like it peaked roughly around 28 billion. And now you can see how it's rocketed up since 24, 51 billion. What does that mean? That means that assets are being locked up in these protocols and then assets are being borrowed. In some cases, it can be other crypto. Most of the time, it's probably USDC or USDT. Who knows what they're doing with it? Me, like I said, I used it once to get a car, but I also use it to buy other cryptos as well. 56 billion. Okay, so now we have our metric. Our metric for DeFi lending is how much money has been lent out. You might be thinking, no. It's social media. And how much are people talking about it? Sure, that can help to spread the word. But when it comes to big money investing, do you think they care what someone says on X? If you're a large hedge fund or an institutional investor, they could care less. They're going to go to a metric. This is the metric. Let's just talk about 4. And the reason I'm pointing this out is because you should be doing this for every category that you've invested in. Whatever that category is, you need to find a metric and then compare them one to another. Aave. It's listed here as number 1 by total borrowed. This is sorted by total borrowed. It shows you a 30-day change, how much has gone up or down. Aave has $29 billion borrowed. Now, it's been around for a while. Look at that. Of the 51, it's 30 billion. It's the majority of it. Let's take a look at Aave. We'll just hop on CoinMarketCap. Market cap 4.6 billion, fully diluted 4.85. People will tell you that the only thing that matters is market cap. Baloney. It's fully diluted value. Again, that's the metric that people are going to look at, large investors, when they're comparing one crypto to another. Fully diluted value is essentially what the entire entity is worth. Just like a stock. What is it worth? If someone were want to buy a particular company and they needed to buy all the stock, what would they have to pay? That's what it's worth. So let's look at that. Fully diluted 4.85. And they've lent out, as we saw, 30 billion. So what's that? 7 times? They've lent out 7 times their fully diluted value. Okay, let's look at the chart. Now, I've shown this chart before. Let's look at it on a weekly. One reason I've shown it before in the past was because I'm impressed with the fact that, yes, it's moved up nicely. And if we look at the on-balance volume from 2021 till today, it has just been done nothing since then till now but increase. That's buying pressure. Let's zoom out and just look at 24 and 25. It was down here around $40, $50, shot up to around $360. That is quite the run. Came back down to around 128, shot back up to around 320. Hopefully we're at the beginning of a bull run. If we still believe that, then these will still do multiples. And currently I think it's around number 30 of all. So in terms of how many multiples will it do? It's already had a run up. I'm not sure, but we can say in terms of risk or reward, it's already a high value one, being number 30. So it may not be as risky, and therefore the reward in terms of multiples may not be as great as if you're picking something up that only has 100 million market cap or fully diluted. That being said, I still think this will do well. This buying pressure is insane. Now let's look at what's number 2, Morpho. This one's fascinating to me. I've done multiple videos on Morpho. Morpho's on 22 chains, but it came to everyone's attention when Coinbase, that has over 100 million users, said when people want to get a loan and they want to take a loan against their Bitcoin because they're holding Bitcoin for the long term, they don't want to sell it, so they take a loan against it. If you do that through Coinbase and you click that button, yes, give me a loan, please, it's going to go through Morpho. So they have 4.4 billion borrowed on them. That is substantial. Morpho's at 700 million market cap, 2 billion fully diluted. Well, Aave was a 5 billion fully diluted. Morpho's at 2. Now Morpho is lending out substantially less. Instead of 30 billion, it's 4.4. Now I should say everyone is substantially less than Aave, but 4.4 billion in a fairly short period of time. And their price, let's look at it on the chart. Go to the weekly. It hasn't been out that long. Lowest around 80, 90 cents, ran up to 260. It was last December. It was already up to, say, $3.50. It's doing very well. It's already moved up and retraced about 50% of its drop, which is normal. Personally, I think it has a long way to go. Coinbase is just starting to point people at their 2 different picks, Aerodrome for decentralized exchange, Morpho for borrowing and lending. I think that one will do well. Let's just jump on here and you can see as you go down through the list, the various ones and how much they've lent out. Some of these will get your attention. Another one I talk about quite a bit is Maple Finance. It's going to look at 2 more. Ticker is SYRUP, SYRUP. Fully diluted value, market cap basically the same, 540 million. That is substantially less than 5 or 2 billion that we just looked at. What are they doing? 1.3 billion in total borrowed. Not bad. Now, when we looked at Aave, it was a 7x. We looked at Morpho, 4.4 billion, and it was a 2 billion. That's like a 2x. And then we're looking at Maple Finance. Well, Maple Finance is about a 2 to 3x based on how much is borrowed in their current market cap. Okay, let's look at their price. You have to look up SYRUP. They had changed their ticker a while back. If you had some, you know that because you probably had to swap it like I did and many others. Let's see here. I believe this is ever since it had changed. Not a lot of movement, somewhat sideways, although it did pop up here recently. Maybe on some other charts that might have the past data from the Maple token. But it's had a decent run, but that's only 20 cents to 45 cents. It's like a 2x. It's not like Aave that already ran up like 6 or 7x. I think this one has a long way to go. That's just my opinion. Then we've got, as you look down, there's many that'll grab your attention. Suilend, I'm also watching, and I have all of these, to be honest. Why Sui lend? Because Sui's doing well and that chain's doing well. 259 million lent. They are a 50 million fully diluted value. Now that is extremely small, and that's a 5x. In other words, they've lent out 5 times their fully diluted. We just talked about one being a 7, one being about a 2. What was the other one? Maybe I can't remember, the other one was a 4. And now we're looking at like a 5. Total borrowed 250. Let's look at their chart. It's Send, S-E-N-D, for Sui lend. Sorry, all these are 15 minutes. It's because I was doing some trading. And I like when I trade during the day to look at shorter time frames. Now, this is interesting. It had popped up. It came back down. It hasn't really retraced half of what it did November, December. A lot of these have followed the same pattern, but eventually start to retrace. So in my opinion, Sui lend looks very interesting because it hasn't seemed to have made a large move yet. Volume is basically the same sideways, but it has been, it always depends on how you look at the scale. You scale these out, you can make them look a lot different. So what you really need to do is look over here. 40 million to 80 million. Okay, that is a 2x in volume, even though the price, relatively speaking, has kind of just been sideways. So when you see sideways movement and you see buying pressure pushing up the volume, the on-balance volume, I go over all these indicators, or most of the ones I like in the school if you're interested. But to me, this is one that's going to break eventually to the upside, assuming we're in a market that's moving up, which I believe it is. So there you go. What I've seen, because I've been doing videos for about a year, don't have a huge audience, but I have noticed something with my views. And this is let me give you a story, and this will make sense. My grandfather calls, unfortunately, my grandparents passed away a long time ago. One of my grandparents, my grandfather, called me because when I was really young, I liked photography. I had some neat cameras. And he called up to ask me about a particular camera. What did I think? Should he buy this camera or this camera? Told me all about him. I gave him my opinion. You know what he said to me? Well, that's interesting. I bought the other one. Well, then why'd you call and ask me your opinion? Because he didn't want my opinion. He just wanted me to validate what he had already done. And I've noticed through my views that when I bring up an off topic, something new, something different people may not have thought about, I don't get many views. But when I put out a video about XRP or HBAR or SUI or anything that's popular, I get a ton of views. Why? Those aren't new people, in my opinion. Those are people that want to be validated. Tell me that the decision I already made is a good one. They go on X and they look for the same thing. They want that validation. Forget the validation. Find metrics and prove to yourself that you made a good decision. Ooh, I bought some Aave. Oh my goodness, they're 30 of the 50 billion loaned. That may be a good decision. Now the price chart may be different, but if you look at these, find the metrics. Make sure that they're hitting something that would get investors interested. It could just be new wallets opened or actual revenue, like some of the DPIN are showing really significant revenue for these. Borrow, lend, because they're getting fees. You go on DeFi Llama, you'll see the fees as well. So you can look at it from that point of view. So that was the first thing. Look at the metrics. And then 2, don't just look to be validated by videos like mine. Take responsibility for what you've invested in. And just because you bought it doesn't mean it's going to keep going up. Watch the metrics. And if they turn in the wrong direction, you may want to get out. Thank you for watching. Hope this was helpful. Please listen to my crypto school. Have a great day. Love how I break things down? Then hop into my crypto school. You'll get step-by-step courses on everything. Buying, selling, staking for yield, borrowing, lending, even going fully debanked. Plus, join lively crypto chats and catch my daily market updates. And lastly, if you just want to help support the channel, there's a join button just below this video.